Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. We'll turn attention now to electricity matters. Dr. Yemi Oke is a senior lecturer, Faculty of Law, University of Lagos. But let's take this report to set the scene, then we'll be back.
This judgment, in our view, is a setback to the progress made so far in the electricity sector. Therefore, while we respect this judgment, we will challenge this decision. We have instructed our lawyer to appeal. Consequently, the Commission has filed for stay of execution and a notice of appeal of the judgment yesterday. We understand that the private power production and distribution is relatively new in Nigeria, and that developments such as this court ruling must be seen in that context as the laws begin to face judicial tests of interpretations. We believe that ultimately everybody and all institutions will come to better understanding of the values of the choice we have made as a nation to privatize the power sector.
Well, as the acting director, DG, the head of Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission, Dr. Oke is also the author of Nigerian Electricity Law and Regulation. This is a bone of contention now. That judgment, when they court, they say, look, halt the increase in tariff because the procedures were not strictly complied with, even though there's been several commentary about that. But about that particular judgment, what do you think of it?
Thank you very much for having me. It's quite unfortunate that, and I'm saying this with every emphasis at my disposal, it's unfortunate that NERC and the discourse, they are not being fair to Nigerians, and they're taking Nigerians for granted. Let me now start with the judgment, which we told them will happen, because one, if you recall, there was a joint committee of the Senate and House of Reps when the tariff was jacked up. Then I got a call from the national leadership of the Nigerian Labour Congress and TUC. They wanted our collaboration because it's an issue that affects Nigerians. And I was willing and eager to assist. We went there. We sat, including the late minister. We had a nice discussion. The ministers came. Mr. Raj Fashalai and Minister of Power came at some point. It was very clear. Even the chairman of that joint panel, joint committee, was visibly angry that even the Senate and the National Assembly were never involved, and they were never carried along when they were jacking up the tariffs. And the law that is being implemented is a law made by the National Assembly. That's one. Of course, it was apparent at that panel. The acting chairman was there, and the officer in charge of tariffs and metering, who featured yesterday, was there, and they really were like going to own up to the fact that there wasn't any form of consultation, and the law is very clear.
But he said that they consulted.
I'm coming. It's all about. It's unfortunate the way some people are desperately running the show. I have no apologies to anybody because they know what they did. What happened? They said they got the discos to consult and put up some NGOs. How do you expect the discos to now take charge of consultation? Would they consult those who are going to have divergence view with them? The discos merely arranged, and again, with no apologies to anybody, the discourse sought consultation with friendly NGOs, a few of them, and they documented those. How do you expect the discourse who are going to be beneficiaries of the process to now structure consultation that will favor them? Of course, they're not going to get any divergent views. That was exactly what happened. And all of us got really angry about the way some people are just taking Nigerians for granted.
Are you saying they didn't bring some publications? Because at that point in time, almost all of them did publish some of these in the local newspapers, especially those within their coverage areas.
Which is part of the requirement.
That's not the only requirement. They are aware of the law. The law, let me just tell you what the law says. The law is, I've said this several times here. The law talks about consultation at the level of the eligible consumer, eligible customers, civil society, stakeholders, extensive. That's section 76. The law also talks about the fact that you have to factor in PICA. PICA is Power Consumer Assistance Fund. And you have PICA extensively provided in sections 84 to 87, which talks about a kind of pool, resources, fund to mitigate increase in tariffs for underprivileged Nigerians, because once you jack it, some people are going to be in darkness. And the law is very careful about that. The law says before you jack up tariffs, as part of your tariff methodology, this must be in place. And we ask them. Even the issue of metering is part of the condition precedent. And we ask you, there's no pickup in place. It's wrong. Again, tariffs can only be increased every 5 years, except in exceptional cases. Since they took over, we've had about 4 increases. It's uncalled for. I'm not saying...
So the discourse or this NARC?
The discourse will make a case for that. And you see, the problem is because we got it wrong. Let me go back to the judgment of Justice Idris. I read something in Daily Trust yesterday while on my way from Abuja to Lagos. And that has been the consistency of the testimony of this judge. A gentleman, well educated. The label says Justice Idris is very intelligent, very upright, a man full of integrity. They were saying all kinds of things. And I sat back. So for those of us who appear before the judge, the only thing you get to do in Justice Idris' court is justice, nothing but justice. He sits at night, very hardworking, well respected. One of the best judges we have in the country. And nobody can have or will have anything against the sincerity, integrity, and genuinity of the judge. But when they started, the first thing the former chairman did was to start to undermine, of course, the integrity of the judicial system by accusing the judge of trying to reverse the gains of the power sector. And I asked them, even the acting chairman just mentioned it stuff now. What gains have Nigerians derived from this? Even yesterday, the manufacturers were saying, oh, they're losing money because there is a kind of metering, politics of metering, what I call politics of metering here.
This increase, has it always been before the takeoff? I'm talking about the law saying that you can't increase after 5 years, and some of these conditions you just highlighted. Were they part of what the discourse got at the time of taking over, or it was inserted after they had already come in?
Because they got in based on the law. The law is the Electric Power Sector Reforms Act, the 2005 Act. The law was even the instrument that they deployed to midway they're taking over. So the law is not new. They are aware. But there are exceptions when it is necessary to have tariff increase less than 5 years. That's not even the issue. The issue is what really led to the judgment. The plaintiff got before the court and they made the case that, okay, even if there will be increase in tariffs, the law has not been complied with. One thing, check the law. Which of the issues of the conditions precedent in the law have you complied with? The judge came to the conclusion there and then that these steps that ought to be complied with, that ought to have been complied with before increasing the tariffs were never complied with.
So that we don't mislead people. The issue of bringing the National Assembly, you said they were not informed, they were not carried along. It's not part of the law.
It's there.
No, it's not part of the law.
No, it's not.
It's not part of what.
No, the law did not. The law has not.
It didn't say they must also carry the National Assembly along.
Let me tell you.
So they shouldn't be surprised when they were not carried along, because if they say they were not carried along, and we have been able to see some publications by this same discourse in the national dailies, which is a prerequisite, then I think that is what they should be talking about, and not saying that as assembly members they were not carried along.
Let me say this clearly. Even the law being implemented by the NRC, it's not the law of the executive. The law is an act of the National Assembly. It's a law made by the National Assembly of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That's one of the problems I have in the country, separation of power. The law being sought to be implemented is the law made by the National Assembly. They have oversight functions. So when the problem started, it was the legislature that stepped in to now sort of mediate, find the convenient meeting point to avoid the crisis. Not the executive. The executive wanted to have his way. It's legislature that will stand as the conscience of the people. When they cannot reconcile, then they go to court.
But you know, this judgment, I mean, if you look through what the law says, 76.6, talking about in preparing a tariff methodology, the Commission shall consider all those representation made by licensed applicants, other licensees, consumers, eligible customers,
Yes.
consumer associations,
Yes.
associations of eligible consumers,
Yes.
and such other persons as it considers necessary
Yeah.
or desirable.
Yeah.
But there are several other provisions.
Keep going.
Which on C? But it says B, that says obtain evidence, information, or advice from any person who, in the Commission's opinion, possesses expert knowledge which is relevant in the preparation of the methodology. But and then it goes on. But
They pick
upon
up.
appeal, if they get to appeal, there are those who have said, look, they don't see this being upheld in appeal.
Okay, let me say this. It's good to test the laws. And I said it, a lot of things are still going to unfold, because I'm convinced that the privatization, power sector privatization wasn't properly conceived. There were a lot of errors. Best of intentions.
But we can't reverse it.
We can't.
Too late.
Well, it's been reversed. That's what Nigerians don't know. It's been reversed.
You know, where else? You know, I've been reading something on judicial activism, which I just realized that lawyers, I think today is all about legal matters.
Yeah.
And where else in the world have you seen the issue of tariff brought before the law court and talking about reversal? Because we say we're talking about privatization here, and some of the essentials of life, water is one of it, which the last time we checked, you can't even get a sachet of water for as low as five naira. So that you've gone to the court to test. If these are some of the issues that you, as a lawyer, is still saying that we must bring before the law court, how does this work with privatization policy?
Thank you very much. You raised a very important point. The executive is not to interpret the law. The legislature will not also interpret the law. If there is a dispute as to what the law provides for, it's the judiciary that will interpret the law. And that is why even all those provisions are not really sacrosanct until and unless the judiciary makes a pronouncement on them. In this case, ever before the matter got to court, we've been pointing it out to them. There are certain things we ought to do which we did not do. I can tell you the judgment will be upheld on appeal.
It will be upheld?
On appeal.
But look at that headline where it says electricity hike reversal. Nigerians risk outright blackout. This goes.
See, there's no way threatening Nigerians with blackout. What we are saying is that even if you increase tariff, make sure the right things are done. Consultation at the levels of consumers, customers, eligible consumers, and other stakeholders. Then engage them. Then put in place pickup and metering. We have in the policies of metering, and it was reported in the dailies. And we have meters in Nigeria made by Nigerian manufacturers. A lot of them.
We'll come to that part. But about pickup, has ever been pickup when they had the first, second, and third increases in the tariff?
So, see, that doesn't make it right. The law says have this in place. The first time you did, you ignored that provision. Second time you did, you ignored that provision. Third time you did, you still ignore that provision. The fourth time they say, oh, not only that, there are a number of issues you fail to comply with. And now Nigerians are asking questions. And I'm saying, even if this current increase in tariff is allowed to stay through, they will still come back to increase tariff 20 times over. Okay. And that will still not solve the problem.
We'll come back and talk about the metering. I mean, any such thing as politics of metering?
Yeah, that's my coinage.
Okay, but you really think there's politics going on there about metering?
No, once I explain it, then you know the politics of metering. Good.
All right, join us again.